Good morning. As Preston said, got two things.